What is up, everyone? This is Midnight Strike 3625 back again for another game review. This time we're going to review a game that came out a couple months ago and is a part of one of my favorite game series of all time. That is the Uncharted series with Uncharted 4 for the PlayStation 4. This is the first brand new Uncharted iteration to be released on the PlayStation 4, and it's going to be the last Uncharted game in the series. So it's going to be the last new game that we see on the PlayStation 4, or in general, mind you. So the Uncharted series has been one of my favorite series since before I graduated high school. It was one of the first games that I got on PlayStation 3, was Uncharted 2, and I was pretty much hooked from that point on. It was one of my favorite games just because of how addicting it was. It was linear, but it still had that sense of exploration, that sense of enjoyment, and it had some pretty damn good shooting mechanics. And of course, who could forget the amazing set pieces and the plot devices that I actually talked about on my other channel, where it shows basically where you are at in like the middle of the story, and then it flashes back to catch you up to that point, and then it goes on further to tell the ending of the story. I love that flashback. I love that plot device, you know, how it conveys the plot, and that is exactly how Uncharted 2 did it. And I believe I gave that game a perfect 10 out of 10 about 2 years ago, so, or whenever I actually reviewed it, but I digress. This game right here is the game of the year, in my opinion. This is probably my favorite game that I've played on the PlayStation 4, period, and that includes with Bloodborne. Well, actually, yeah, pretty much with Bloodborne. It's right up there with Bloodborne as being my favorite game on PlayStation 4. This game adds so many new game mechanics and brings back some old classic fan favorites that it's just unbelievable how they were able to fit it and cram it onto a single Blu-ray disc, especially with the brilliant graphics that are conveyed in this game. And the brilliant sense of enjoyment, that sense of exploration, is pretty much opened up to an open world in some segments. It brings on a whole new level. Is it linear? Yes, it is pretty linear. But it actually opens up to give you almost an open world feeling in certain segments of the game. And it also has an unbelievable Easter egg in the beginning of the game where it allows you to play Crash Bandicoot in the beginning of the game, one of the first levels where you're running from a boulder, and it actually adds a story to it as well, with Nathan Drake trying to beat Elena's high score. And it's one of those really cool Easter eggs that keeps you captivated and keeps you going with that sort of thing. It's one of my favorite Easter eggs in gaming, and I gotta say, it's pretty damn smart to put that in an Uncharted game. And just the interactions between Elena Fisher and Nathan Drake, or I suppose Elena Drake now since they're married, spoiler, not really, it seems so real. Like, basically, when I would be helping my brother play a game when we were very young, I would be kind of coaching him aggressively, like, jump, you gotta jump, you gotta do this, you gotta do that, you know, run away from the boulder, you know, it's just, it seems so real that it's almost a trip back to those days where I used to help my brother out. And it's like I could see people saying that to me when I'm first playing a game. You know, they know all about this game. They're the veteran. They're, you know, everything. It's just a really cool time. I actually have a video of that as well. The Crash Bandicoot Easter egg. It's just a great thing. A new mechanic in this game was added just for this game. The rope mechanic. Now you have a rope. No longer are you relying on other people to throw a rope for you to swing across. Now you can actually deploy your own rope, and it will be used in also the new challenge of sliding down steep hills. So you'll be sliding down these steep mountainsides, you know, basically tearing up your ass, pretty much sliding down these things, and then you will have to jump and hook a grapple on one of the rocks, and then you'll be able to swing across, like Tarzan, basically. So that's a really awesome new gameplay mechanic that just adds so much to the game that already was chock full of really fluid and polished gameplay. They also add a lot of driving as well. The last game that you actually got to drive a vehicle in was, I believe, the first game, and you were driving, but then when you wanted to shoot people, you had to take Elena Fisher's spot, and you were controlling Elena Fisher when you were actually shooting. So simultaneously you were controlling two people. It was kind of a weird setup. But right now, basically, In Uncharted 4, you actually get to drive around, get out freely, and walk around, explore in one of the actual settings, so one of the set pieces. This game actually takes the story in a much more linear fashion. It takes much more of a linear approach versus Uncharted 3 sporadically, going to this set piece, going to that set piece. It just seems so random in Uncharted 3, and it left a lot of plot holes and a lot of people guessing about things that, hopefully Uncharted 4 would wrap up. Well, it doesn't, but to an extent, it kind of leaves it off at a point where it doesn't really matter. It's its own separate game. You get to know a lot more about Nathan Drake's personal life in this one. In Uncharted 3, one of the famous comments by Kate Marlowe was, "Nathan Drake, but we all know that isn't your real name." They never explained that in Uncharted 3, and it was just, all you knew was that his parents committed suicide when he was 5, or his mom committed suicide when he was 5, and that Nathan Drake was not his real name. We didn't know if it was his first name or his last name, or if it was just a pseudonym. You actually get to find that out in Uncharted 4. It delves back into the deep history of when Nathan Drake and his brother Sam Drake were children. And it kind of brings you up to speed on what role Sam Drake plays in this game. So story-wise, it's really excellent. Gameplay-wise, it's an epic adventure, as usual, of course. Polish-wise, I gotta say, I am very, very impressed. This is one of the most polished games of the year that I've seen. Just a great game all around. I really don't have any complaints. The only thing I will say, though, is in the older games, you used to have these cheats, these bonus features that you could actually activate after you've beaten the game that would let you swap character skins, get whatever gun you wanted, activate cheats such as infinite ammo. All that's back with some graphic features and graphic filters that you can actually render the entire game in cel-shaded mode, 8-bit mode, and different sound options to go along with it. The only thing I was really disappointed about was that you could not change characters. You can change their outfits, but you cannot physically be another character. And I guess that's just really the only complaint that I have, because this game, Uncharted 4, is just so perfect in every other way. I mean, 10 out of 10. I know I just gave Delirium a 10 out of 10 by Lacuna Coil just right before this, but this is going to be a record. 2 perfect 10 reviews in a row. This game deserves your money. Naughty Dog is probably one of my favorite game developers at this point. They develop such great titles such as Crash Bandicoot, aforementioned prior to this, Jak and Daxter, as well as the Uncharted and Last of Us series, which I also ranked a perfect 10 out of 10. Now, the first Uncharted and third Uncharted, of course, are probably the weaker games in the series, but 2 and 4. This is the best game since Uncharted 2 in that series. This is probably one of my favorites in the series. Probably my second favorite, but like I said, 10 out of 10. It's just a wild ride. You will not be disappointed. This is Midnight Strike 3625. I hope you enjoyed this review. Go out right now and buy this game, Uncharted 4. It is excellent. Keep calm and rock on, guys.